Hello everyone, and we're back. We're just going to start to work on the cheeks. Now, as I said, the cheeks were my most challenging part of working with Shuyi here. I really struggled to try to find the right looks because it's so easy. I could have just put in some bronzer and she should have been good to go. But I wanted to create a little bit of a high fashion, powerful look. So here's what I did. And God save us. I started up here and I went to a 1980s racing stripe. And as you can see, I apply. You see how there's more here and less here? How we're getting grab on the foundation and grab on the primer? And so that caused me a lot of frustration because I couldn't seem to fight that primer grab. And again, it's working. We're in kind of a moist atmosphere. It's very moist. It's summer here. It's mid-July. And so the makeup was behaving in ways that I really didn't feel very good about. So I've just kept sweeping this up along to create a kind of 1980s racing stripe look that has a lot of impact and frames her eyes. So I eventually got to the point where I realized this was the right thing to do, to sort of bring it up around the temple a little bit and then diffuse it. And I kept running into all kinds of issues around the blush applying just the way I wanted. So what I did is I come up with a little technique to solve that. And I think if I spent an hour on this makeup, I would be a lot happier, but we're showing it on the fly. We're doing this whole thing in less than about 15-20 minutes. We're just like shooting it live. So you again have to be a forgiving soul and realize that we're doing it that way for the fun and the challenge. So then what I do is I take a little bit of this Ket foundation, the liquid foundation, and I put it on a foundation mirror, a camping mirror, which I always use. And then I wanted to clean that line. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to sweep this foundation over top so that I get a clean under eye line. So this is putting foundation on top of powder blush, which is like a no-no, like you're taught very early in your makeup life, that you don't do that sort of thing, like tisk tisk, slap your fingers. But there's a place for everything, and I really am enjoying doing this kind of approach. So I'm just, again, loading my foundation brush, and I'm just creating a very clean line. Isn't that great how that's going on? And then I pull this down, and then I want to keep that clean line. You can see how it's got kind of a softness up here, so I want to make sure I still get that. And you can see that it comes right up here along this line right in here, so I'm going to have to put some right there. It's one of those cases where I might look at the video and be horrified and saying, oh my God. But I made a vow. I'm like the Julia Childs movie, Julia, where every day of the week, for a year, every day of the week she's got to make a different dish. And this is my personal challenge I've been on, that almost every week, constantly, I'm doing random makeup on faces that I just meet to try to show you how, as a makeup artist, your struggles that you go with, up and down, and some makeups you're really happy with, some you're not. But I want you to really get the reality of this so that you feel okay when you're working like that. Let me have a look here. Good. So now we got this two hot spots with this climbing up. This just doesn't feel very integrated on the top there. So here's where I take a kind of a kabuki brush, and I just grab here. You can see how our hairs are grabbing. That's just like from the humidity that we're working in. So the makeup is behaving in its own way. It's ignoring me and doing what it wants. So I have to impose my will on my makeup. In ideal conditions, in some studios, you never think about this stuff. But you're shooting outside. I once had to do a smoky eye, and it took me like a half hour of applying different shades of carbon to get the depth because it was outside in the summer and the products weren't behaving. So there it begins to get the sense of what we're doing. It looks roughly symmetrical, at least enough to kind of sell the idea that we're working on. And then we have the lips that we see are done in this gold color. And then when I watch the video, I'm sure I'm going to still feel perfectionistic, but I can just not say enough about over blending and just blending this. But then when you feel like it's over-blend too much, you'll blend it too much, then you take your foundation and you can create clean lines by blocking that out in the water-based foundation. And you can see that I could create that nice clean line. And then if I had another half hour, I would keep blending those cheeks and blending until I was just perfect. Let's have a look at the finished look. There we go. I think she's good to go at this point for her shoot. And we'll come back in a moment for some discussion, review, and analysis. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Pretty nice. Thank you.
You liking it, girl?
I love it.
You're feeling very elegant?
Yes.
I do like the elegance in you, and I think this look works. Actually, we'll keep the camera rolling just for 1 second.
Sure.
So while I step back a few feet, I like it, and what's great about this, it's going to read really great at distance. So how can I prove that to you people? All right, proof is in the pudding. We're going to try pan. Cinematography style. What happens if we change this lighting? There we go. So does that work for you?
Nice.
And now we zoom in, and we have a look right there. And turn your head both sides like that. So we've created a elong, just hold right like that. That's a beautiful pose. It probably shows all my mistakes and imperfections with the blush, but that's okay. I wanted a little of that kind of out of control. That's why I did kind of an undone updo for her. But I think that kind of shows it. And then pan, looking at the camera, just pan your head the other way. And keep turning. Okay, and look at the camera again. And then we're going to zoom out and get an idea of how this whole thing reads. So thank you so much for joining us today, Shuyi.
Thank you, David.
Okay, we'll be back in a sec.